All right, everybody, welcome to One Topic, where we stick to one topic. My name is Autumn Fisher.
My name is Greg Russ.
I'm just a co-host.
Well, with a co-host, you have a lot of decision-making ability. That means you can force topics on the air that other people don't want to talk about. You're not just a producer as a co-host. You can decide, I have something to say on this topic that isn't popping up organically on the show, so I'm going to shoehorn it in because my thoughts and opinions are so important, and the audience really, really is dying to hear them. So I don't give a shit if it derails the whole show. I need to do this. I have to do this. I'm a co-host.
It's really strange.
Yeah, it's strange. It's strange how people make leaps in logic and think that they're owed things.
Maybe it was just in the moment and didn't think about it. And then some people have trouble like saying that they were wrong or admitting fault, you know?
A lot of factors at play.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was first starting at 99X and I was 24 years old, I thought everyone else at the station was an idiot. And I was like, they're old, they're outdated. Right. I know what's best. I'm the future. My ideas are amazing. And, you know, some people just have that response, but it's delayed by a decade and a half.
Yeah. I think if you talked to that person, they would not agree with you. But I think there's got to be something else there. There's got to be some of that there.
Much
because
going
otherwise,
on.
Why would you do that? Or, and you know, I would understand doing it and then afterwards being like, yeah, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't understand why you didn't want to. Yeah, that was my bad. You know, like, it's fine.
Is this vague? Is this vague for the listening audience?
Well, if you don't know, just go back and listen to the last half hour of the non-Hessler Doctrine last week on Friday. And then you'll know.
Oh, I owe you $21.
Me?
Yeah.
Why?
We made $42 doing the podcast.
We did?
I got a payment sent to me.
Why was it sent to you?
That's just the way it's set up, I guess.
That's crazy because I paid originally for like setting up like for the years on Podbean. So it's weird that they would send you money.
I don't think that part of it was ever set up, the payout.
Oh.
So I set it up once in a while. I've always been I've usually sent you the money fully.
The last 2 years, I think it's been like that.
Yeah, we usually only make $20.
Dang. Thanks everybody for listening to an ad, I guess.
Yeah, that's what it is. The platform, our hosting platform, puts ads in.
I think so. Like in the beginning, there's little bits of something.
And then they know the impressions and the numbers. And I have to assume most people would skip through those ads, but I don't know. I guess we got enough for $42.
Okay. How much do you think we've made?
$108.
All right. That pays for
1 year of hosting.
1 year. How long has the show been going?
I think 6 years, which is crazy. Yeah. And we're at 300 something episodes. And it's paid off.
Yep. Finally it's paid off.
$108 total. I mean, that's an estimate.
Sure. $108.50.
We were never in it for the money. If you want that internet fame, you gotta push makeup or some other shit. I don't know.
I'm really thinking about like, because I do watch so much Judge Judy on my phone. I was thinking about like, because I've done it before and then I didn't keep up with it, but it was getting some like traffic actually on TikTok. I wasn't posting it on my page. It was like a separate like Judge Judy page that I made. And then I didn't keep up with it. So they deleted it, which was fine. And then, I was thinking about doing that again because I watched so much of it and I think maybe people liked it because she says such funny things and like some funny
what are you
situations
talking about,
happen.
What did you posted?
Oh, sorry. I posted
your commentary.
Clips. No, I posted like some clips of something that would happen on an episode. And it was like things that I found amusing.
Is Judge Judy still on?
You know, she has that other show, Judy Justice, where she has her. Well, first she has a court reporter who's like, you know, doing that cool keyboard thing because she's old as fuck and she can't remember stuff and sometimes doesn't hear things. And she needs her to read it back and say, like, what did they say? Or remind me what they said. Because she's still really sharp. And then she also has her granddaughter. I think her name is Sarah Rose or something. And she's a lawyer, but she's really young. And she's there and like will help like Google things really quick or refresh Judy about like contract law, stuff like that. And then after each case, Judy and Sarah Rose will go into her like chambers and like talk about what happened. And she'll be like, yeah, you know, when I was learning about that, like this is a classic case of whatever. And it's like, I've told everybody, like Judy's like, I've told everyone, you know, never give money to a man, you know, because they'll never pay you back or whatever. So that's her new show.
Well, at least they found a way to stretch her career without taking her too far away from what made her famous in the first place. Like John Taffer on Bar Rescue.
Yeah.
You know, part of that show was he goes in, he screams at people, he breaks them down, then they have an emotional conversation. And a lot of the times, you know, the people who run the restaurants, their marriages are suffering too because there's just so much stress, and he helps people, you know, talk through things. It's always funny. It's like, did you ever actually have a conversation about this? And the married couple, no. And then they have a discussion and they suddenly feel better. It's amazing how that works. But they tried to branch that out into him doing couples therapy, saving marriages. And like, no, you can't. It failed. I don't.
Of course.
I didn't even watch an episode of it, and I like that guy, and I like Bar Rescue. But it's like, I have no interest in it. Within the context of the show, it's fine. It works. It's part of his process. But somebody somewhere said, you know what? We'll make you a marriage counselor.
Do any of the, like, is there any connection to Bar Rescue? Like, he's not there for their business. Like, maybe their business is thriving, but
I don't think so. I think it was straight up. I think it was straight up. These people are having a hard time. John Taffer's going to come in. He knows how to get
and
them
treat
to
their
talk.
marriage like a business.
I never
That's
watched.
not how that works.
I can't speak to it. I can't speak to it. Never did anything. But yeah, you should do your Judge Judy clips. You should do them in the shower. That way you'll get a lot of traction.
Oh, perfect.
And you can make some money. Go back to what made you famous in the first place.
Shower blogging.
Yeah. You've doubled your life.
Here I am. Just a revisit.
Here I am 22 years later from the original Schlag.
Wow. That's interesting.
We'll see if you are still in. I mean, those videos got over 1 million views, right?
They did. Not because they were interesting.
It doesn't matter. If you get the views, who the fuck cares? This is, I know the mayoral primary here in New York, the Democratic primary is not interesting to everyone, but I'm going to bring it up for a second.
Okay.
The two people that are in it, again, Cuomo, you know, it's ranked choice voting. There's like 6 people, but the only 2 who are really in it are Cuomo and a Democratic socialist named Mamdani. And his whole campaign, like, he may actually win the primary at this point, but his whole campaign is these pie in the sky ideas. Yeah, sure. I'm going to freeze rent. Yeah, I love that idea. I don't want my rent to go up, but realistically, these things don't work in practice. I'm going to make the buses free. I'm going to make city-owned grocery stores because he doesn't explain how he's going to do any of it. But he's on TikTok and he just says these things. And because, you know, he's 33 years old, he's charming, pretty good looking. It fucking works. People are like, yeah, I love this guy. So who gives a shit what the actual substance is? As long as you get the views and the following, it's all that matters. And, you know, that's where we are. We're going to have a guy come in and get nothing done if he ends up winning the mayorship. Yeah, in order to get things done, you have to get the state on your side, and he's already in the state government, and he gets nothing done there. So why suddenly are they going to say...
I didn't know that. That's funny.
Yeah, they're suddenly going to say, we hated your ideas before. Now that you're mayor, sure, you have more power and visibility, and you've got, you know, a voting populace behind you, and before they didn't know who you were. But I still don't see them saying we're suddenly on board. It's like you couldn't
Right.
get shit done there. You think you're going to come in and suddenly they're going to change their minds? All right. Well, let's just have more de Blasio.
I don't know. Like, are there better people to choose from? But these are just the ones that are like
Yes.
really the ones that are going to be voted for,
Yes.
or
They're especially primaries for the
yeah.
mayor, notoriously low turnout. This one's going to have more than most, but Cuomo has name recognition, and Mamdani has got a surge of popularity. The other candidates within the group of the people that are going to get not much vote, those are the people probably who should be mayor. I got a
Mm-hmm.
text from the Mamdani campaign. It says, "Can we count on you to rank him first? Because we have ranked choice voting. You can vote up to 5 people. So let's say you vote for a person you like, which is what I'm going to do, but that person's not going to win. So once they're eliminated because they don't have as much of the vote as they need to move forward, my vote will then go to the second person and the third person, and so on until the person who the two candidates are going to be left is Cuomo and Mamdani. So just as an example, let's say I vote for 4 different people, neither of those two, and I put
Mm-hmm.
Cuomo last. Ultimately, my vote's going to go to Cuomo because the other people are going to be eliminated along the way.
Right.
So I get this text that says, "Can we count on you to rank him number 1?" And I said, "No." I said, "Well, can we count on you to rank him at all and not rank Cuomo?" And I said, "No." And I said, Mamdani ain't it. This is like choosing between if I want to die from AIDS or cancer between
Oh
the two
shit.
candidates.
That's fucked up.
And the person responded and said, "I'm sorry to hear that." And they just give their fucking,
Yeah.
stump
Is
speech.
it AI or is it a
Uh,
real person?
who knows? At this point, it probably is AI or it's definitely automated.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't, again, they just said, "I'm sorry to hear that." So they did address it, but not in
Yeah.
any meaningful way because they just launched into, "Well, here's what he's going to do for you." It's like, okay, you clearly,
Yeah.
you don't, you didn't read anything I said because there was more to it than that.
Okay.
I don't even know why I responded. I usually ignore those texts, but I was just in a mood and I wrote back because those people keep buzzing the apartment trying to get us to come down so they can
Oh, really?
sell us on him. Yeah, he's got
Oh
people on the
God.
streets, a lot of
That would make
youngins.
me pretty annoyed.
He's got a lot of youngins and they corner you.
Yeah.
They got
Oh no.
into my friend Andrew's apartment
Uh-huh.
building. He lives in a similar setup where there's a building on the street, a courtyard, and a back building. And they got into the courtyard and he
Mm.
went out and he said, "I need you to leave now. I don't want to talk to you anymore." And they're like, but, and they wouldn't leave. It's like, yeah, that's really going to win over a voter when you
Yeah. Get
force
out
your
of
way
here.
into someone's building.
Yeah. Get actually out of here. I would hate that. Why do they think that's effective? Is it effective?
They think that they can convince you.
Yeah. Oh, that would piss me off.
They think
How
you're
is that getting anybody?
They think,
That's
well,
wild.
it's like when protesters block the roads to JFK, the airport,
Yeah.
and make people late for their flights. Well, you have to disrupt or people aren't going to pay attention. It's like that's not going to sway anyone to your cause. It's alienating people.
Mm.
You make someone miss their flight or have to rush and be stressed about missing their flight. They're not
Yeah.
going to think, well, you know what? I never really thought about what you were pushing before, but even though you ruined my day, you're right. Fucking stupid.
Yeah, there's ways to do that, right? Like there's ways to disrupt without disrupting people that have nothing to do with what you're disrupting about. Right? Like there's things that you can do like around the place. Like so, let's say you're upset with some police activity. Then you go to the police station and you stand around there and you like march there or whatever. But like gluing your hands to the streets so that it's like, oh God,
Well,
I don't
going
know.
into a restaurant where people are eating and interrupting their meal.
Yeah, it really just seems like some of it's tough because I would like to have some places that are a little bit more like respected or sacred, especially when you choose to protest. It seems like it needs to be a pretty important thing. So, let's not go in there just so that you can practice your performance art. Let's all be there for the righteous reason of why we're protesting. Because you're really blurring the message if you do that shit. And you're sort of giving it to the other side who disagrees with you. It just like solidifies their thing about like, you're annoying me. And your point is annoying. I can't even hear it because you're bothering me.
Well, that's happening on a larger scale now.
Mm-hmm.
I think, especially with the far left, the tactics are really driving people away. It's not having any sort of impact where it's pulling people over. When you demonize people and tell them how awful they are, just because they try to have a conversation with you about issues, and you're so convinced that you're right and there is no other stance, and you dismiss all nuance, and then you tell the person they're an idiot and a racist. It's like, okay, we've had enough of this.
But then there are the people that, did the ICE protesting and stuff in California. I feel like that was effective.
Yeah, throwing rocks at shit and chiseling away concrete and throwing it at cars and setting fire to Waymos.
Well, just one Waymo.
No, there were several. I don't think that's effective. I think those images, people look at it and say, "What the fuck?" Especially because the messaging is all over the place. It's like, what does Waymo have to do with anything? Why are you burning this? If it was
all right, well, maybe that wasn't effective.
If it was an ICE vehicle, I could at least understand.
Well, that's what they threw rocks at. They threw them at ICE vehicles.
Yeah, and then just police in general.
Yeah, because they were participating when they shouldn't be. And a bunch of people, like a bunch of police didn't participate.
You get the people come in and they start waving the Mexican flags. And are a lot of the immigrants even Mexican? I didn't think that they were. I thought it was people came from South America, Central America. I know there's
Doesn't
Mexicans.
matter. It's all of them.
And so, you wave the
just being like just scooped up from their homes or their jobs, like without giving family notice or even like due process. It's fucked up. It's against the like Constitution.
No, I mean, if you're not a citizen, it's not against the Constitution because you.
But once you're on American soil, it's like you're supposed to have rights.
I don't think you're afforded the same rights if you're not here legally.
Oh, I think I saw you like no matter what. Bring me, you're tired, you're like sick, you're the fuck.
Yeah, meaning do it legally.
The Statue of Liberty didn't say that.
I just don't think you're afforded the
chains on
same...
her legs that were way at the bottom and nobody sees them because she's breaking free.
The show of force and the way it's done, it's like, does it need to be done this way? Do you need to raid and do you need to, tear people apart from each other?
And also, fucking California was stolen from Mexico anyway.
See, you're getting into a lot of stuff that's...
I mean, the whole United States is built on stealing or like coming here.
It's not necessarily... Mexico sold giant parts of it to the United States. It's not just as simple as people showed up and stole the land. I'm not trying to deny atrocities that happened, especially with the natives and Trail of Tears, and there was actual land. I just... People, this is the problem overall. People want to act in these very binary ways. It's like, no, there's a lot of gray area in all of this.
I mean, I'm not denying that, but it can't be argued that we came to this country and like did some really fucked up things, and now we're saying, okay, now we're established and now you can't do fucked up things.
That's the way it's been throughout human history. People have land, other people come in, they do fucked up things, and then they try to keep the land. And if somebody can come in and take it away from them,
but don't we learn from the past?
No, what we've done is gotten better at stopping other people from coming in and stealing the land. That's what's happened.
I really hate like everything. Everything boils down to like the fucking worst. I've said this for so long about like the micro and the macro versions of your life, or just a life in general. The micro is great, and the macro fucking is just awful. When you zoom out even further about like our history, like I said, with this country and stuff, it's like, God damn it. And then right now, the whole like, why are we in Iran? Is it for like a mineral that helps with batteries? And like, Or is it
No,
about
they're not.
oil? Or
It's
is it
not.
about
It's about nuclear weapons.
that's what they say. I don't believe it.
I believe that that's the
They're
reason.
not suicidal. They're not going to build.
Yes, they are. Iran, I would say, they do not give a shit about their population and their people. The people who
Mm.
run Iran
That's more like
are
Iraq, not Iran.
no. Look into it. The people who run Iran are religious fanatics
Mm.
who think that they're serving Allah. They do not care about their people, and it is a country. There's this idea with nuclear weapons that there's mutual destruction, so you don't launch an attack on another country that has nuclear
Yeah, like war
weapons
games.
because they don't want their country to be blown up. Iran, I think, would not give a shit if a bunch of their people died because the people who run the country are so oppressive and the people who live there don't even really like the people who run their country. So when you're dealing with
Yeah.
people like that, if they get a nuclear weapon, the rules no longer apply like they once applied.
I just worry that, if that's what we're sort of told, I worry about how much of it is true
I mean, you should
because I
always
can't
question.
trust anything anymore.
I think you should always question and you shouldn't trust what the government says. I think in
Yeah.
this instance, for as much as people hate Trump and all the criticisms against him that I agree with, I ultimately don't think he's a dude who likes war. I think
No, I agree with that, but I don't know how savvy he is about making appropriate decisions like that.
in this instance, I think there was stuff presented and said, hey, they're
Yeah, I
getting
think they
this close
present
to
him what
doing
they
it.
want to present him with to make him, and then tell him how great he is at making decisions. And then
That's a possible scenario. I mean, I
Yeah.
always maintain that if you want to manipulate Trump, you just tell him he's amazing and then tell him what you want, and it will
Right.
probably help you with it.
Exactly.
Like, I think you're so great. You're the best there is. Can you help me with this? Okay.
Only you can do this, right?
I've always felt that way, and I've never understood why the Democrats don't just do that. Like resisting him is the stupid approach.
Yeah, like you got to like make the enemies keep your enemies close, whatever,
Resisting him empowers him, and it gets his base fired
Yes.
up. The impeachments empowered him.
Yeah.
It hurt the Democratic Party because at the end of the day, you're never going to actually remove him from office. It becomes just this goofy game that people are playing, and it's performative on that level for the Democrats. Hey, look what I'm doing. I'm trying to do my. It's all stupid. It's like just go into the Oval Office, tell him that you agree with him.
Yeah. Tell him how great he is, and then, start slipping in stuff about what the things you need to get done, and then he'll probably help you out.
He gets his power from people defying him, opposing him.
Yes.
The assassination attempt, and it's amazing. And it's just his instinct that when he's bleeding and he stands up and pumps his fist and says, fight. It's like, I don't know if that was conscious or subconscious, but like that's the image. That's what people like.
Mhm.
Like everyone's out to get him and nothing can bring him down. And it is true. That's the annoying thing about this guy throughout his whole career is nothing has brought him down. He just somehow keeps moving forward.
Well, I think that there was some nurse, I think, that dealt with the elders, like it was a cancer doctor. That's what it was. And she was saying, someone asked her who had cancer, like, how do you not die from this? Like when it's bad, how do you die? And she was like, you got to be an asshole. Assholes survive. Assholes live. The assholes live forever. It's the jerks that live. It's the nice people that, fucking die when they too young or in the middle of something nice.
There's also something to be said. It's like if you just keep moving forward, like whatever the fuck comes my way, if you don't give up and you aren't knocked down, or if you are knocked down, you don't stay down. Like
you get back up again.
Yeah, it's cliche, but it's it's a Rocky speech, but that's why it works because a lot of people are like, all right, I'm done with this. I can't take this anymore. I've been knocked out. In general,
I've been sued by everyone in New York City. I have a terrible reputation. Keep going.
I just don't like cult of personality. It's and I'm bringing up the dude, the socialist who's running for mayor in New York. Like it's like you don't actually bring anything to the table. Like your ideas aren't realistic. But it doesn't matter. You capture an audience who's loud and vocal, and then they push your message forward, and other people get on board. And like, who wouldn't like the rent to stay as it is?
Yeah, I want to vote for that.
The real issue with New York and the reason the rents are so high is because there's not enough housing. And the reason there's not enough housing is because it's so fucking difficult to build anything here because of all the permits, and the city council has too much power. So you go through years and years of permitting, and eventually it gets to the city council and they can still say no to it all. And so people are like, fuck this. Why do I want to go through any of that? And so when you do build housing, because it's so difficult, it's going to cost a lot.
Yeah.
And then the idea of, well, if there's expensive housing, the people who can afford to buy it will move there, and then they'll leave the housing they're in, and that'll be cheaper. It's like, that's not the way it works. And, you freeze rents, it causes problems for landlords, and they let properties go to shit.
Because
Especially
they
when
can?
it's like, why are you going to invest money? It's, say you own a building, and then
Right.
the government says you can't raise rent on anyone, but your costs
Oh,
go
right.
up.
Then why would they lessen their margin of?
Yeah, and so you're like, all right,
Yeah.
I'm not making any money. I'm not going to fix this building.
Right. I don't care about my people who live here and the families.
It's just this idea. It's like, yeah, that sounds great. But how are you going to do that realistically?
I know, because honestly, even if you are a good person, right, and you do care about these people, if you can't raise the rent and the building is costing you more than what you're receiving, is that ever the case, though, do you think? That the people are actually losing money to own property?
Yeah, if you own a building that's rent stabilized, meaning there are certain buildings and apartments in the city that can only be raised, the rent can only be raised a certain percentage every year, dictated by the housing authority. When the apartments finally open up, you don't want to fall back in. So they just don't, you don't want to get stuck in that again. So they just don't rent the apartments. They leave them empty, which, because I guess it's a tax write-off or something at that point. And there's a whole range of landlords, yes. And especially when you get into the corporations and the companies that have just bought a bunch of fucking buildings, and there is no relationship with the tenants. And, if you're a single landlord and you have a good tenant, more than likely you're going to keep that person there if they pay and they take care of the space.
Yeah.
If they come to you and say, hey, this year you raise my rent $100, can we just do $50? You'd be more willing to have that conversation.
Yeah,
the corporations
that's true.
don't give a shit. They're like, nope, this is what we need to do to maintain our margins. So,
which is crazy though, because if that person leaves and then the place is left empty, I guess maybe that doesn't happen. That's happening here a little bit. Places aren't getting rented out. People have been moved out for months and months and months, and new people are not coming in. But I think it's because the rent's really high.
I don't know enough about that area to speak to it. If the rent's high, I feel like they'd figure out a way to lower it a bit so they can get people in. It's in their best interest. But like I said, here, I know there's tax loopholes. That's why commercial spaces sit empty for years. Like, man, I want $50,000 a month for that. That's what it's worth. And if someone's not going to give me that, I'm not going to rent it. And then in your taxes, you say, I'm losing $50,000 a month. And like, okay. So you just write it off.
There was that building in Atlantic Station in Atlanta that sat empty for years. It was the only people that were in there was the security guard at the desk in the lobby.
Well, was it condos? Did people buy the condos? And
I think it was condos, and then I don't think that they were able. There was something about they were legit empty. I don't know why, but I felt like there's something going on. There's a reason why they're sitting empty for so long. I think that part of it was because that was a gentrified area. A certain percentage of the rentals had to be Section 8. And then I think everything else was super high. There was some reason, I forget why, but I just remember thinking, someone's making money by this thing being empty. They're spending a lot of money for it to be empty, but there's got to be a reason why people are not purchasing in here. When the rest of Atlantic Station, kids who go to Georgia State or go to Georgia Tech, they're moving in over there. They're moving into those apartments behind the Target. But this place it was just empty.
Well, Atlantic Station wasn't really gentrified. It was repurposed because it was like a steel mill. The government probably did have
there were a bunch of houses back there, I think, at some point.
And also when they rezoned it, they probably said you have to make a certain percentage available for this price. But if they were condos, maybe people bought them, wanted a certain price for them to rent, couldn't get that. I don't know. I
Yeah, who
know
knows?
when Amazon announced that they were going to open, remember when Amazon did that whole thing a few years
Yeah.
ago where cities were
They're
groveling
like,
and
we're gonna
begging?
come to your town. Do you want us? Come on.
Yeah, pitch to us and tell us why we should come to your city.
That was really embarrassing.
And every city, please, please come
Please,
here.
we need the money and the jobs.
And New York was chosen, and they said, okay, we're going to create this campus in Queens, Long Island City, which is a neighborhood in
Mm-hmm.
Queens, not actually out on Long Island. And it's a place with a lot of new construction, condos, and tall buildings. And the people started buying them immediately upon announcement with the idea, I'm going to buy this. I'm going to rent it for a lot of money because it's going to bring these people in and they're going to want to live here so they can be close to Amazon. And then it turned
Right.
out Amazon left because New York didn't make enough concessions for them. Bezos wanted his private helicopter, and there's some laws about private helicopters landing. I actually think the city was ready to make an exception for that. It's like, you can fly your private helicopter, but
Uh-huh.
other people aren't allowed. And then they were going to, because there were some working class communities around, and they said they would offer job training like once a year or twice a year. We'll do some job fairs with these people,
Mm-hmm.
even though we're going to drive up their rents to outrageous prices. And there was a bit of protest and backlash, and Bezos got all offended and hurt by it. And he said, well, fine. And he left. And then those people who bought those condos immediately, vultures, ready, they just jumped the moment the gun fired without waiting to see how it played out, bought these things with this idea that they were going to rent it and get
This all feels like an
money.
episode of Sopranos when they were like trying to build that on that thing, and like the mob had their hand in part of it, and it's like, I want this much of the Esplanade or whatever it was called.
I'm trying to remember.
It was the New York guy, right?
They were always in Newark.
Yeah.
I remember they were developing the waterfront or something.
Yeah. And they were like in bed with the mayor, but they also had to like split it with the New York guy, the smoking guy. But yeah, this all feels like, oh, there was so much like back room talks.
Except this wasn't.
Amazon was like, I'm out.
Yeah, except this wasn't, mafia backdoor dealings.
It was government backdoor.
It was just out in the open. It's like, yeah, okay, buy these and rent them for whatever the fuck you want. Because if you get high paying tech jobs in the area, people are going to pay it. And then it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Last thing we needed was tech bros coming into the city. There's tech in New York, but it's not the main industry. It's not like San Francisco, where all those tech jobs and all those high paying jobs made the city some insane fucking place where people didn't even live close to where they worked, but there were buses that would take them from the city. Like, I'm going to live in San Francisco as a status symbol. I'm going to pay a shitload of money to live there, and I'm going to take a bus 2 hours to work every day. And then they wonder why people are on the street shitting because they have no other place to go, because the discrepancy became so great. I mean, there's many factors at play, including what you do with homeless people.
Yeah. You don't lose your job and you're down and out and you are shitting in the streets.
No, but the people who move in hold guilt for being, the people who drove up the rents in San Francisco. And then so they need to show that they're empathetic people. And they say, no, we got to be nice to the homeless people. And I don't want people to be in jail. And, people are being stabbed and attacked and there's shit all over the place because there's this cognitive dissonance where it's like, yes, I don't think that people should be thrown into jail just for being homeless. Right. Even if they're causing problems, I think there should be another solution to it. And then you're faced with the reality of the situation, though. And you're like, fuck, what do we actually do with these people? Because you can't force them into mental institutions. You can't force them to do anything. And they're causing trouble. And the only thing that really is viable is jail. So I don't really want that, though. And this is, again, working in black and white. So, you need to keep up your appearances. So, I don't think that should happen. And then you get them just on the street wreaking havoc. because there's no room for actual conversations about anything because there's all the people trying to prove something to the other people who
See
are
what I
rich.
mean? Everything's awful.
So
How
if you
do we
go and you
get things
say
to not be
these,
awful?
yeah, if you go and say these people need, we need to change the laws so they can be put into institutions. They don't need to be institutions like the past where people were actually abused. Like, but let's
Right.
build some actual mental health support facilities where people can
But
get
then
the
people
help
don't
that they
want to
need.
budget to pay the people that would be good for that like hospital.
That's a big part of it too. But that's what I mean. There's so many things that go into all this, and you can't start to solve any of the problems unless you're ready to have the actual conversations because they're
Yeah.
complex and they're difficult.
And
And
they should not be solved by the government.
well, who should they
Like
be solved
I
by?
don't know, by like a rich billionaire who has money to spare
I,
and a passion for
I don't
helping
think
people.
the rich billionaire cannot force homeless people into his institution.
No, but like if they made an institution that was like nationwide where like every city had this institution where the mentally sick people could at least have a place to be and get treated properly. They would make I don't know if they would make maybe like the government would give them some subsidies or something.
I don't think that's the solution. It has to be a government thing.
I know, I hate it. Just let the bill. I think I've talked about this before. If you go to like spend Bill Gates's money, it's like impossible to spend it all. You can buy like 14 football teams and 60 like fighter jets and like airplanes. You could buy like entire businesses and you still have not like made a dent.
I don't know what you get out of it though. I mean, yes, if you have that much money and you just want to be nice.
Because it increases like the betterment of the world. Like cities are better, people are happier. Maybe they are happier to buy your stuff because look at the way that this person helped our cities.
I mean, that could be a very real thing. Like, I'm willing to spend money with Amazon now because Bezos is nice, man, which he's not, and it'll never happen. But
No, he would never do that. He's too busy like injecting shit into his girlfriend's lips. Oh, I don't mean that in a dirty way. I meant like
I didn't take it that way, but
okay. He's like, I've never been so cool.
it would have been better if you meant it in a dirty way because she's certainly destroyed the way she looks.
Yeah.
Well, it's just amazing how out of touch that guy is. You go back to the William Shatner landing and wanting to have a spiritual, deep conversation, and Bezos not fucking realizing it, not
He's not
capable
there
of
for
it.
William Shatner to have that experience. He's just there to say, look what we did. We took Captain Kirk into space.
Yeah,
and now hold on, something cool is happening over here with some champagne. Wee.
Yeah, pat me on the back. I'm the one who got you there. I did this. Isn't that cool? I'm the one who built
Yeah.
this little penis rocket.
God, I
Just
hate
oblivious. Just because
Yeah.
he's like, I'm going to sell books out of my garage on the internet. It's like good for him. He had the idea. I'm not trying to
Yeah.
totally dismiss it, but also, and he had the drive and the desire to build it and some knowledge on how to get something like that done in early internet days. But it's like, yeah, okay. It's not like you're the smartest guy in the world, though.
No. I hate when Eric talks about Elon Musk being like really smart. He must be smart. Like look at everything he's accomplished. Like he it's like okay.
He is pretty dumb, it seems.
Yes. Listen, people can be really smart in one thing. They can be brilliant in one thing. That doesn't mean that they're smart in general.
Well, it'd be nice if people had the self-awareness to say that. It's like, look, I was good at this one thing. I also have these ideas. There's a lot of people that help me see these ideas through.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm the one who does the legwork to get the funding for things and starts pushing things through.
And maybe he would say that if he was asked. But when you're not, or when you don't say that, people like Eric are like, he stands in front of the chalkboard with the equations all over it and understands it. It's like, no.
I think
that doesn't mean you're smart.
You buy into your own legend. I don't know if it's possible to not do that.
Yeah.
You get to a certain level, you have all this money, and all these people look at you. And maybe it's disappointing to say, it's like, I don't know. Like, I did a thing and it worked. And I have thoughts on this and some knowledge on this. But for the most part, I don't fucking know. Maybe that, for whatever reason, is too difficult of a thing. You look in the mirror and say, look, if I got to this point, I must really be better than most people.
Yeah, you're right. Like they buy into it. Could be. That's real stupid. I hate the world. I really
Everyone
don't.
does it. You get.
I hate thinking about the big things in the world because everything else is great. People are nice. People on the street, like you be nice to people. Like it's great. People are cool.
You know who it didn't happen to?
Hmm.
Keanu Reeves. That guy
Sure,
donates so much fucking money to so many causes, and it's not
Keanu
publicized.
Reeves would make this hospital I'm talking about in the cities.
It's not publicized. He doesn't need the attention for it. He's doing it because he actually cares. And then, you know, on the set of John Wick 4, there were the pictures of him when they filmed this scene on this really long staircase. He would help the crew carry gear up. And I'm sure that there were people on set yelling, no, don't let him do that. Just like me.
Mr. Reeves, put that down.
Just like me when I became Decker at 99X and we would do promotions and I would help put the 10 away, put the PA away, hang up banners, take down banners. And the promotions team's like, no, you don't need to do this. I'd say, no, I want to. Let me help.
Yeah.
Didn't go to my head. There's a level of embarrassment that came along with it. It's like, I don't know. I'm not any
just
better.
As good as Keanu Reeves.
I'm not any better than any of these people. I'm just in a spot where I get to do this cool thing. And there's a level of work and talent that went into it, but it doesn't make me better than anyone. Just like Keanu Reeves.
Just like Keanu Reeves.
Except radio just
You're
didn't
secretly
care.
Donating tons of money to things in New York.
Radio didn't. If I had a lot of money, I'd donate.
Yeah, I would follow the Keanu Reeves model. After like maybe, you know, being a little selfish for a little bit, you know, like spending money on things just for funsies because it's like, oh my God, I have this money. But then afterwards, it's like, all right, I've done that. Now what good can I do? I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that now. I'm going to ask Keanu Reeves for his playbook.
There's no playbook. It's just be a nice person. A thoughtful,
yeah, but like
good person.
Sort of like use his movements on and help base where I would want to go. You know, like how you donate quietly, how you not how to, don't ask him how to be a good person, but just see like what he does and, you know, use that as a guide.
I don't think it's difficult to donate quietly. It's just that people like to make a big deal about it. I think by default, if you do something like that, some people, it's pretty quiet.
Because if you donate, then and the person who asks for the donation or who owns the charity or whatever, they want to publicize your name because it brings more attention to the charity. And so then you have to say, no, I don't want attention for your charity. I want to quietly donate. And that's kind of like annoying.
But it's an easy thing to ask.
Yeah. I get it. Like, I think it's cool not to do it, not to publicize your name like that. But
I bought a lot of TVs and Game Boys. They weren't Game Boys, but those cheap generic gaming systems for Clark's kids, Christmas kids.
Oh, you did? Nice.
Did you ever look at the things that they ask for?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Because obviously they're buying things in bulk. So it's like, this TV is this TV. There aren't specifics. Yeah. There's this handheld gaming system that's not Nintendo or not anything that's brand name. And I always wonder what it's like and what games are on there. But if kids are asking for it.
Oh my God.
Now I'm bragging about it. But we're months removed. So if I had more money, I'd help more people.
Clark's Christmas Kids.
And meanwhile, you won't even go to Atlanta for the cancer fundraiser.
I can't afford it, bruh.
Just ask for the reimbursement.
I know, but I'd be missing 2 nights of trivia. That's $400. Are they going to pay me that?
Do it at Manuel's as a guest as a guest host. Manuel started doing trivia. That was the only time they play music.
Oh, really?
It was years ago that I went. But there was music playing in the back room. I thought, this isn't right. I know it's trivia, but this isn't right. Don't play the fucking music. No music here.
But it's awkward when you don't have music in between, especially because people get drunk a little bit and then they start like whispering answers really loud. You know, they're like, hey, it's you.
Yeah, I whisper answers really loudly. wrong answers to try to
Oh,
get,
yeah, that's a fun thing to do.
to get the team listening.
Mm-hmm. That's smart. You throw them off the scent.
I mean, I'm sure it doesn't work. I don't know. The people they're cheating anyway. There's trivia nearby where there's like an upstairs, completely out of view of the quiz master. And I'm thinking, that's all that's going on out there. It's just nonstop cheating. And there was one night where the people got 0 questions wrong. It's like, this isn't even real. It's like, if you're not even good cheaters, everyone knows if you're going to cheat on a test, you get a few questions wrong on purpose.
Yeah.
And just get 100. Yeah, perfect. We're so smart. We got it all. But I guess there's no proof.
I have some people that accuse other tables of cheating.
I bet the other tables do cheat.
I'm like, well, I was like, maybe they're cheating, but they don't win. So who cares?
Well, who wins then?
I don't know. Some other team. Doesn't matter.
That's pretty pathetic too. Like, if you're going to cheat, the point is to win.
There is one team that I suspect cheats because they tend to sit farther away than like the bulk of the teams where they sit. And they get, when they're over there, when they're not near me, they get way higher scores than when they are not seated far away. But it's weird because it's hard to, they're a family. It's a mom, a dad, a son, and his girlfriend. And the son is like out of college, but still young. And he's blind. And he's on his phone. And the text is really big. And he's looking at it real close up to his face, you know? And he uses a cane when he goes out. And so it's weird. I feel weird about like, hey, you can't have your phone because you're blind. So like, I don't know.
That's the perfect cover, because who's going to call him out?
Yeah.
Nobody's...
I just feel like, yo, I'm not going to, if I see someone blatantly cheating, of course, I'll be like, yo, I'll say it on the mic. But otherwise, it's like, yep, this is between you guys. I'm just here to do this. If you guys want to cheat, that's stupid. If other people point it out, like, yeah, they see you, you know, and they should say something to you, not me. I don't want to say anything. What am I, the police?
You ever tested to see if this kid's really blind?
I threw a ball at him.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know how you can do it. The only time I tested was when a guy was acting blind on the subway asking for money, and I didn't say anything, and I just held out a dollar bill down. Like, I didn't outstretch my arm. I just put it in my hand and kind of held it. There was a little outreach to signal that I was handing the dollar over, but it was still kind of down by my side. And he walked up and grabbed it. I'm like, you're not fucking blind, because you'd have never known that
but
dollar
blind
was there.
There's a spectrum of blindness.
Yes. You're right.
So maybe he's just like nearsighted. He's like, I'm blind.
For whatever reason, and I can't remember now if it's just an assumption I made. I thought it was total blindness. But
sure.
Maybe.
Well, you're probably, if you're going to do a scam like that, you're going to pretend that you're totally blind.
Well, it's like there was a guy on the train when I landed yesterday. I take the train home from JFK because fuck paying $100 for a taxi.
It's awful.
And it takes just as long, if not longer, than taking the train. But on the ride back, there's a guy, his arm's in a sling. He has a whole story about being a carpenter and how he's not able to work.
Oh.
And it's like, is this real? Is this not real? I don't know. It's kind of a shame that I immediately think you're faking this. But yeah. I've seen pregnant women on the train, pregnant in quotes, pregnant for years, but they work the trains that tourists ride. So yeah, I'm sure they know.
They're not seeing the same people all the time.
Yeah, they know that some of those people are going to be people that see them on a regular basis, but there's a lot of people who don't, and they're going to feel sad and hand over their money.
Sure.
So by default, I'm like, I don't buy your story. You're just in a sling working the trains. I know that being a carpenter doesn't necessarily mean you have a full-time job. You're probably hired for gigs. If you're part of the union will have health benefits and I'm sure some kind of workers' compensation, but not everyone is in the union. So
Sure.
there's a realistic scenario where this guy could be out of work. But then you also get the person who's like, well, if you can give me a contact number, I'll put you in touch with these people who can help you. And the guy's got no interest in that.
Yeah. They also don't want your food.
Well, they say they do. And you give them food and here's
like,
my
"This is it?
avocado.
Can I also have some money?"
Yeah, here's my avocado. I don't want this shit. Then why'd you say
I've
you
given
wanted
the
it?
people I've given the people on the side of the road like a snack before if I have one in the car.
And did they want it?
Yeah, like thank you. I also always say hello, like I wave hello.
I'm getting sick of the canned people. Because
you have canned people.
You have the can deposit and the bottle deposit in New York, 5 cents.
Oh,
and most people
right, and they collect the cans.
Yeah, but when they do it, they rip open the bags in the larger trash can.
Mm-hmm.
They're not polite about it. And then you pick it up and everything that they don't take falls out of the bag. Just, if you're going to take the fucking cans, do it in a way that the person can still take the bag out and it doesn't create a mess for them. Fuck you.
Right.
I'm going to start not taking I'll set an alarm to take the cans out at 4 a.m. right before they get picked up. So you get none of it. It's worth that because
Do you have somebody that does it all the time? Like, do you have like a designated can person?
I don't pay enough attention, but
because you should leave them separately and be like, leave a note. Hey, can person, this is yours. Please don't rip up my trash. There's no more in here. They're all here.
I don't think they care. I don't think they care.
They might. Maybe you have to say it in Chinese. I feel like they're Asians.
It's a competition.
Is that racist?
It's not. And okay. No, you're right that a lot of them are Asian, Chinese.
Yeah.
They're the ones who are at least proficient at it.
Of course they are.
Like the amount of cans they carry. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I saw them.
It's like, how do you, the system with the stick that goes across their shoulders and they balance it with the same, like the weight's got to be equally distributed across the bags that are tied to the stick. It's like, wow, like you really figured this out. It also takes a lot of time to put all those into a machine to get your 5 cents. In Germany, it's 25 cents.
Whoa.
Yeah,
like 25 euro?
25 cents. Yeah, of a euro. So you do 4 cans, you get €1.
Damn. That rules. That's like way better.
I mean, the thing is, you're not making money if you are the one buying it because you're paying the deposit. And then the idea is you get your money back. So you go and you turn the cans in. But it's like, who the fuck wants to do that? What a pain in the ass.
I mean, if you have to make it happen somehow, right? Like if you really are, if you have nothing else you can do, go collect cans. That's what Judge Judy has said.
Maybe
collect cans.
Well, if you watch Dark Days, a documentary about the mole people living in the abandoned Amtrak tunnels at the time, that's the guy is like, I got to go to work, and he would collect the cans. So you got to give it to some people. They're going out and they're putting in some effort to make some money. But it's funny. I guess part of it's a deterrence at that level because it is such a pain in the ass to return them. So like, I'm not going to buy. I'm just going to get my milk in a jug that I can put out, and the milkman will come refill it. I don't want to buy as many bottles because it's bad for the environment.
The milkman.
Yeah, the milk would spoil in a matter of minutes. It's going to be 100 degrees here.
Yeah, it's hot out. I was very grateful that I have access to a pool yesterday because we went out to this place called Coconut Joe's in Edgewater, and it was so full of bros and fucking idiots, and it was real fun to watch. Like people, it was like old rich people and young rich people, and they were all weird as shit, and it was real fun to watch them. But it was on the water, and there was like, it was really pretty. Like you got to see all the boats, and like people were coming in on their jet skis, and people were coming in on boats and parking and like coming in. But anyway, and it was so hot, like I was dripping sweat. And I really just wanted to jump in the water that was down there. Of course I wouldn't because I'm in my clothes. But even if I could jump in, like, is that water gross? It's like full of boats and like oil maybe and like gas smell and stuff.
Yes,
I don't know.
It's gross.
Yeah. So but and then the other day I was just as hot sweating, but I was in a bathing suit and by the pool. And I was like, yes, this is totally fine. Just the difference between being in your clothes and dripping sweat versus a bathing suit and access to the water. It's like, oh my God, I'll sit here forever and sweat my ass off as long as I can get in the water after.
Well, just having air conditioning is very nice.
But that's kind of a tricky one because, like, I like to keep my house cool, but it doesn't help you acclimate to the outside. So when you go outside, it's like, oh my God, it's so hot. And then you come inside and you're like, wow, it's so hot outside because it feels so good in here.
Yeah, the point to me isn't acclimation. It's when it's fucking hot, I'm not going out if I don't have to.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay in here where it's comfortable. Going to Germany, looking for hotels.
Oh yeah, was there air in Germany?
No, like a lot of the hotels don't have air conditioning, and you have to look for that. And it was the day we got there, 92 degrees.
Wow.
And so the first hotel we went to didn't have air conditioning, but we knew that it was in a small town, and it was so fucking hot. And walking in, like, oh, we do have some rooms that have air conditioning. Like, we'll pay the fucking extra money. I mean, it turned out to be an extra 10 euros a day or something. It's like for air conditioning, it's a guess, but it still doesn't work the same way. It's not, doesn't blast.
No, it's like that little thing that like is at the top of the wall. And it's like a long rectangle.
Even when it's on high.
Uh-huh.
And this was the same thing when I was in Finland. It's like you can set it. One, you don't get to set it as low as you can set it in the United States.
Sure.
And it's just a very light blowing of air. You're not getting to the point where it's loud and pushing air out full force,
and like crispy in your room.
Anything is better than nothing at that point. But it is, talking to the family we have, they're getting hotter. And a lot of these houses don't have air conditioning. But here in New York, you don't have air conditioning built in centrally, but everyone's got the window units. They still don't know what to do with it for the most part, because there's this idea that Americans are insane with their air conditioning and it's drafty. And why would you want that cold air blowing on you? But now it's getting so fucking hot. There's this idea. They all have blinds and shutters on the outside of their windows too. Like shutters is one thing.
Oh, isn't there a real German thing about like opening the windows and like letting air into your house?
And also like think of metal blinds like you're used to with thick blinds, not like the really skinny ones that bend very easily. They're more durable, but they're on the outside of the windows. And it makes sense because then the sunlight doesn't even get through the glass. Once it's through the glass, you got the greenhouse effect. Even if the lines are there blocking it, the heat's in. So some of it's going to seep through. When it's on the outside, it blocks the light from even getting to the window. So therefore it doesn't come in. So I think it's pretty smart. And that's, I guess, part of the reason there hasn't been air conditioning installed everywhere for so long. But fuck it. I hate the summer.
Like I said, I'm fine with the summer as long as I have access to cool off if I'm outside, because it's pretty great to just sweat your ass off and then get in the cool pool.
Just remember, if you can
air dry, feels good.
If you can smell the chlorine, the pool's filthy as fuck.
Yeah, I've heard that too. I don't smell we go to a country club pool, so it's very clean.
That's what you think. All that filth. I mean,
there are a lot of kids in it, so I'm sure they're peeing in
it. Kids and adults. Mostly kids, you're right. But there's still adults who do it too.
Yeah.
They don't give a shit. And then the water going up people's asses, like I always bring up.
Yeah.
And then running out. Weird. And then you swim and you put it in your mouth and spit it out like a fountain. Not you specifically, but.
No, but I get it. But also, it's all right.
Look, it's clearly not killing you.
Yeah.
Swim in the ocean. I was thinking about old ships when people, before they had like toilets on ships, wooden ships.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they would just dump it over the side. That had to be what happened. And there's plenty of documentation of even cruise ships can release their waste. I brought this up, a certain mileage off the coast. It's like, fuck, the ocean really is one big sewer. There's so much water, though. It kind of becomes diluted. It's there, but
then multiply that by like all of the ships and
it's gross. Like, I think about this. Well, there was a report that I just read, which is an old report, but somebody brought up the fact that hotels sometimes won't change sheets if they don't seem like they're dirty. And if a person stayed one night, for example, they're like, oh, well, this is clean enough. Some hotels. It's like, yeah, that's disgusting. But also, I've probably slept, just the fact that you're sleeping in the same bed, the mattress that so many other people have slept on. Like, it's gross. But it's clearly not hurting anything.
No.
So you just deal with it. Like, okay. At least you smell the chlorine, well, the chemical reaction's happening for a reason. It's dirty in this pool, so there's more of the reaction happening, but the reaction is happening. So it's hopefully offsetting all this disgusting stuff that we're talking about. It's not like you get into a pool with an open wound and then die.
From like MRSA or something.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
Parvo.
Isn't it kind of good for it, chlorine?
I have no idea if it's good for it, but
the ocean with the salt, I hear it's good for
salt,
wounds.
Yeah, that's supposed to be good for it. Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to get in and this water's going to wash into my wound.
Cool. It stings, so that means it was working.
I guess you feel the sting. It's good or bad. If it's hydrogen peroxide, it's good. The foaming lets you know. I sprayed some hydrogen peroxide around just the sink once. The amount.
I love that. It's like it's applause. It's like there's applause down there.
Yeah, it's disappointing if it doesn't foam, but if it doesn't foam, it means it's pretty clean. If it does foam, it means
Boring.
It's filthy.
I have some hydrogen peroxide that it's like different. It says like non-sting, even though I didn't really feel like regular hydrogen peroxide stings all that much. But it doesn't foam. It doesn't like sizzle.
Nah, you need that.
It's pretty disappointing.
It's like if you take niacin, which is a B vitamin, they had the kind that would flush your skin. It would open up the capillaries and it would kind of burn. And I used to take that and I loved it. I was like, this is doing something. I don't know what, but it's doing something. And then they had the flush-free kind. And you take that and there's no burning and no flushing. And just didn't feel like it was doing anything.
It's like Febreze. The Febreze used to be like non-scented because the whole point of it was to absorb the odor that you're trying to get rid of. But people didn't like it because it's like, well, now I don't smell anything. I smell nothing. Febreze is like, that's the point. They're like, we don't get it. This isn't working. It's like, no, that's why it's working. So they had to add like flavors.
Yeah, I want that. I want that burn from the hydrogen peroxide. I've used it to clean my mouth before with like mouthwash.
Well, they say you should do that, I think.
Yeah, it's the best mouthwash there is.
I think Joe likes to put like alcohol on his, like if he gets a cut or something, because it's like, good, it's burning it out.
We just want to feel. We all just want to feel.
Oh, that's kind of true.
All right, on that note.
All right, everybody, welcome to One Topic, where we stick to one topic. My name is Autumn Fisher.
My name is Greg Russ.
Thanks for listening to One Topic. See you later. Bye.